But if you don't tie purpose to your profits and meaning to your money, you're going to have this feeling of dissatisfaction and you're going to wonder what's missing. But when you're giving, then you're truly living.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Wow, that's really impressive, because at the end of the day, when you find a joins for relatedness, they are receptive to the conversation, and they start to discover what it's gonna take to become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And they start to realize that things are not gonna be perfect, and it's a skill. The more you practice, the better you become. Now, Derrick, talking about finance, I think that we as entrepreneurs sometimes we made this wrong assumption that we have a business. The business start to make money, and because entrepreneurs, they are no expert in finance, they are just entrepreneurs. They know how to create a product and how to sell it. It might happen that after you have that product and this product start to sell it, a usual mistake that entrepreneurs make is they take all the money from that business and reinvest it in the business. Whether something more creative could be, for example, take the money from that business for using for the business that you make, buy a property, to give you an example, use this cash flow to reinvest in the business. So if something happened to the business in the future, you still have the asset producing you income. What do you think about this idea? Because you, for example, have a wonderful business and you managed to exit. Most of the businesses they don't achieve that. They don't have an exit, and they go out of business. And after all this work, it's not fair that the entrepreneur sometimes walk away with nothing after so many years of work. Something might happen, COVID, the market can change. So where this financial education goes, and where people with normal income, as long as they start to understand some principles of how to handle their finance, like you describe in your bio, they can become a millionaire, and it's not that difficult, right?
Well, I think what I would say is it can be difficult, but let me tell you a quick story to illustrate this. So as I would work with millionaires in my office, one of the things that would commonly cause them to lose business is they would say, Derrick, I've decided to build my own house. We've decided to build a building. And what would happen is their distraction going to the next shiny object would actually cause them to have a lower year in business that year because they're worried about where the brick is in their chimney, or where the fence line is in their yard, or why the color scheme isn't like they want it to be in their new building. And what I would tell them is you can do that, but there is a risk you need to be aware of. And that is what you are good at, the lane that you need to be in. You need to keep that lane well worn. You are in the money creation business. That's your business. You help solve problems for a profit. If you get out of that lane, you run the risk of being in an accident that could cost business money. And so, not that you can do it, but I say that for business owners especially, to be aware to manage their own issues. Think of it like a bowling alley. You know the lane you're in. You want to have some good gutters on the side to protect you.
You have to keep it tight, right?
Keep it tight. And so what I found is if you want to invest in real estate, that's great. But you need to go to your friend in your mastermind group, at church, at Rotary, the person you respect the most, and say to them, what's the easiest way for me to get involved in real estate? What you don't want to do, please remember this, if you take nothing else away from our time together, You don't want to be the person studying and doing the courses and going to the
Absolutely, no,
classes because
100.
you're going to waste the main lane you're good at. And so that's the decision you've got to make. Now, I've not ever really been a big real estate guy. I like stocks and I like
Mhm.
pre-IPO investments and I like things where
That's
there's,
another vehicles also.
yeah. And so that was in my
Perfect.
lane because I was in investing in money. So it was a perfect lane for me. So I would just tell people that the more successful you get, part of your job is discerning quickly great opportunities and good opportunities. And good opportunities are veiled and disguised cleverly as great opportunities. But only the top one half of 1% of any opportunity is what you should ever put your brain cells to burn to see if it makes sense for you. If not, you're going to simply waste your time on things that have no way to really level up your lane of genius.
Good morning. What a title for the book. Tell us what the book is about. What is your favorite chapter, and what inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, so it's interesting. How I came on this book was having worked 25 years in building a financial planning practice, which ended up being one of the top in the nation because we solved problems for people. It wasn't about selling stuff, it was solving problems. And as I would talk to people who we helped go from middle class to millionaire, one of the common things they would say, Harry, and this actually shocked me, is they would say, Derrick, it seems like a lot of people make the point that if you have a lot of money, you must have done something bad to earn it. Or if you like money, you must be a bad person because the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. I said, well, we're not loving money, we're liking money a lot. And I said, if you're like a well-respected CEO of a huge company, you must be oppressing your workers and taking all the money for yourself. And I said, well, that's not right. That voice is a voice that tells people don't take risk, don't create jobs, and don't take your bold, courageous idea and make something big. And so that's what the whole point is, that money is not bad. And good people like you and me, Harry, and all of our great listeners should have more of it. And what I found
Absolutely.
is that the motivation, though, is really what I hone in on the book. And then I'll tell you about my favorite chapter. But the motivation is that if you make it your goal to build a bulging bank account and have a 7+ figure investment account, and you sacrifice your family and your own personal interests and your relationships, and you arrive at the mountaintop and you look around and your voice echoes because you're all by yourself. You've sacrificed everything to get there, and you realize, wait a minute, I thought I would have more meaning and purpose in my life when I hit this goal. And so what I found is that the whole book is about flipping that over, changing the script to say, go make more money, go make a lot of it by serving a whole lot of people, but make your motivation to go make more money and then do more good with it. To tie your cash to a cause and your profits to a purpose and your money to a movement where it's something that you care deeply about, and use that to motivate you that the more money you make, the more you can actually give. And what happens is when people you want to work with know that you're a giver, it automatically attracts them to want to work with you. So I call that the good money revolution, where the more money you make, the more you give, the more that you give, the more motivated you are to make. And it's just this circle. But the favorite chapter in the book is chapter 5. And it's about one of my clients. His name is Dave. And Dave came in the office, and those relationships, Harry, that without the person saying a word, you can tell by their body language that something's wrong. You can just tell they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. And I said, Dave, what's wrong? And he said, Derrick, he had this successful business, but he told me he wasn't feeling motivated anymore to go to the office. He was just kind of faking it. And he wasn't feeling purpose or meaning in his life. And for whatever reason, the words kind of shot out of my mouth. And I said, Dave, is there a cause that you care deeply about? And he began to tell me a story. And he said, Derrick, a couple years ago, my family and I went on a trip overseas. And in this village we were at, the guide told us that this whole area has so much poverty, but it's because they don't have a school building to educate their kids. And if they had a dedicated schoolhouse, it would change everything. And he remembered exchanging a glance with his wife, as if to say, Wouldn't it be cool to fund that school? Well, they got back to the States, life got busy, etc. But my question brought this all back. And I said, Dave, what if you did this? What if you set an aggressive sales increase goal? And you said, we're going to increase sales by 20% this year, and half of that is going to go to fund that school. Well, his eyes got as big as saucers. We began to brainstorm how to do this. So he comes in the office not 6 months later, but 3 months later.
Wow.
He looks completely different. He looks younger. He looks invigorated. He looks like he's got his A game back. And I said, Dave, what happened? He said, well, I basically took what you talked about and put it into practice. And what he did is he made a tab on his company website. I told him to call it your generosity purpose. And he mocked up a picture of this school building and what it could look like. And he began to let all of his clients know that, hey, this year we have dedicated and created what we call a generosity purpose. A portion of all of our profits are going to go to fund this school and make a difference in the lives of these people.
In the community.
Well, his customers loved it. And then he got more referrals because he wasn't the only consultant in town, but because people could work with him and feel like they were part of something bigger, and made them want to work with Dave. And so what happened was Dave himself got completely remotivated. Now he had a purpose for his work. It wasn't just making money, but it was making more money to do more good, which let him make more money. And then his team got excited, his family got excited. But what happened was ultimately Dave's business began to skyrocket, but he felt meaning and purpose because he was making a difference. So I would tell people is, if you're listening right now, go make the $1 million, build the bulging bank account. But if you don't tie purpose to your profits and meaning to your money, you're going to have this feeling of dissatisfaction and you're going to wonder what's missing. But when you're giving, then you're truly living.
100%. So where can we find the book? And if somebody's in love with this conversation, Derrick, where can they find you? How the process works? Can you share a bit more with us?
You bet. Yeah, the book is available on Amazon. It came out about 2 years or so ago. It was a USA Today, a Wall Street Journal bestseller.
Wow.
But it's a great book. It's like having a conversation with a friend over a cup of coffee. It's about how to think about money, but especially if you're a business owner. And I like to call, if you're a millionaire in training, or if you're already a millionaire and you want to go to the next level, this book helps reshape the purpose of why you want to make money. And we find it's supercharging people's growth quite a bit. But the two best places to find us is our website, which is anyonecanbecomeamillionaire.com. And
wow,
also
I love the title.
Thank you. Anyonecanbecomeamillionaire.com, and also on Instagram at the Derrick Kinney.
Thank you so much, Derrick. And with that, see you if to our listeners and of you following our social media. See you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Derrick break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Thanks, Harry.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.